first podcast. This is myself. This is my friend Bryce LeBaum and his uncle Roy Clapp. And we're going to go over some NFL and all other sports topics. And our first topic on the agenda is NFL. And we're going to go over the Thursday night football game that the Panthers were at the Bears. And we had someone who was at the game, Bryce. So we're going to let Bryce talk about this game for a little bit as he was there.
So the Bears-Panthers game, it's probably one of the most uneventful primetime games of the year. I don't remember what the score was.
You were there?
It was like 15-15.
16-13 Bears.
Yeah, I mean, that's just pathetic for an NFL team to score. But it was a must-win game for the Bears because
But you're talking about two bad teams there that's doing that.
I agree.
Real
Those two
bad.
teams should never get a primetime spot.
Yeah.
I agree. Especially against each other. That's just a horrible face-up.
Thursdays have been notorious the last few years for throwing some really bad matchups after the first few weeks due to injuries and, poor performance and whatsoever. So
this was a must-win game for the Bears. This put them at the best odds right now to get the number one pick for next year. And having the number one pick next year with this loaded class we have with the top five and potentially having a top five pick for our own with the Panthers, it put the Bears in a pretty good spot, I think.
yeah, that leads us into the
What's
next
the purpose
topic.
of getting a top pick when you don't need a quarterback?
Top pick is trade capital. We didn't need a quarterback last year, and they took Bryce Young. That turned into one of the greatest trades of all time by Ryan Poles. We got potentially the next first pick overall and DJ Moore. That is for Bryce Young. And what has Bryce Young done this year? Win one game and do terrible?
Yeah, but they trade DJ Moore. They don't have the pieces around him. I know.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at
he
Peyton
went from
Manning.
being a good college quarterback because he had every weapon possible around him. The top,
True.
I mean, they had the top receivers, top running backs, and he could sling it wherever he wants to an absolutely shitty-ass Carolina Panthers team
Yeah,
to play against a shitty-ass Bears team who doesn't have DJ Moore is all you got, and your quarterback sucks. So
it's true. But beating the Panthers, as you should have because you are a better team than the Panthers right now, leads to the next topic as what are you going to do if you finish with the number one pick if you're the Bears? I know you've said on record you're not big on moving on from Justin Fields, and I understand your perspective. He is a good quarterback. But if you land the number one and you can take Caleb Williams, what are you going to do?
Justin Fields has proved himself time and time again, but since he's not your traditional pocket passer, he gets more hate than most quarterbacks in the NFL. And if we're going to give Justin Fields the hate when he does good, like against the Broncos the week after they gave up, 60 points?
Yeah, against the Dolphins.
but that's the
He
Broncos.
put up four touchdowns. All right, now we go to the Broncos defense who just shredded Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a top five quarterback in the league, undeniably. So if you're going to give Justin Fields the hate,
the Bills
for
are
having
not
a good
even
game,
close to what the Bills are not even close to what they used to be. They used to be good like 2 years ago, and since they lost to the freaking Chiefs, they have sucked ass
That's
on
true.
offense.
But okay, I agree with you that Justin Fields is definitely good enough to be the starter if they didn't have the number one pick. If you didn't have number one and you couldn't get a quarterback, no doubt you're sticking with Fields. But do you think Caleb Williams is too good to pass on, or Drake May? Some people view him as the number one pick, and you can reset the clock to pay the quarterback because Justin Fields is due to be paid here in the next few years. Do you think it's worth it to pay him $40, $50, $60 million by the time that he hits, or would you rather reset the clock? Don't have to pay Caleb Williams or Drake May for 5 or 6 years.
if you look at what the Browns have done and just keep resetting clock and resetting clock and resetting clock and never giving a quarterback a real chance, it just doesn't work because you're rebuilding a team every 3 years, and that's just never going to work. Caleb Williams has the same issues in this year that we're seeing that Justin Fields has. So it wouldn't be a huge change, in my opinion, because Justin Fields' biggest issue to me right now is his pocket passing time. He takes some of the most time in the pocket, and that's why he gets sacked a lot. He's good at evading them, but with the coaching system that he has in right now, he's not really scrambling as much. And that's where I think Justin Fields, with a new coach next year, will thrive instead of Caleb Williams.
See, I think if you reset the clock, the Bears got no – I mean, you're talking even if you got a new coach with Justin Fields, with your picks, they're not a playoff team next year.
See,
So
and
if
I
you
agree with
say-
you, Roy.
So if you trade Justin Fields for a pick third, fourth, whatever you want to get out of him.
Yeah.
Reset, get Caleb Williams, and you kept talking about how you want Marvin Harrison Jr. Put those two together with Moore. Get that offensive line, another year experience. You're and a new coach. You start from the very beginning, and that gives.
And
you
I
a
agree
chance
with you, Roy.
to build a future.
I think because yes, you could trade number one if you finish with number one, and you would get a nice haul. You did last year. You got a nice haul. You got DJ Moore. You got picks, but you could also get a nice haul for Justin Fields. Somebody is willing who maybe is closer to a win now situation. Maybe let's say like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or a better example, the Minnesota Vikings. What if Minnesota believes, hey, we have 2, 3, 4 years right here to go win it, and they think Justin Fields might be an answer. Maybe they get him, and instead of giving him a long-term deal, they use the 2 years left and they franchise tag him for 1 year. Then they move on. So you're going to get a nice package back from Fields as well.
I agree. I think you'd get a better deal with Fields. I mean,
yeah,
you could trade Fields to. I mean, there's plenty. Even New York Giants need a quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones isn't what they're going to do. How about the Packers? They're not set on love there.
Oh, that would kill me to see Justin Fields in the Packers jersey.
Justin Fields to the Packers and let you play against them for a while.
Oh,
I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a good situation to be in, and you never know. Somebody could offer the entire house for the number one pick. Let's say the Giants. Let's say the Giants view Caleb Williams as the best quarterback prospect to come out ever. They might send 4 first-round picks, and then at the end of the day, yeah, you have to make that move. So
yeah,
it's a good situation to be in, and I think they're gonna. I mean, I'm sure Justin Fields is open for business, just like the number one pick would be if you finished with it. But yeah, the Bears get the win at home, 16-13 in a very eventful game. I'm sure you were there. So
yeah, that
moves us on up to the noon slate of games. And I'll tell you what, for being a noon slate, there were some very good games. That also I'm going to throw in the Patriots and Colts game in Germany, because nobody wakes up at 8:30 to watch the Colts and the Patriots play this week. I'm going to be honest.
So that was another Bears versus Panthers game.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
10 to 6. I mean, anybody that goes over to Germany anyway. We play in Germany or in England. It's never a good game. I mean, those kids, they get there on a Wednesday or whatever. They're not prepared for a Sunday morning game or Sunday evening game.
But yeah, we had a really good slate. I really was intrigued by the Jacksonville 49ers game. Jacksonville 6-2 at the time, and the Niners coming off 3 straight losses and then had a bye week. And man, they just dominated the Jaguars all day.
Jacksonville's in a weak division.
Yeah, weak division.
The Texans, they come out and put a whooping on the Bengals. CJ Stroud is better than Bryce Young. I think we can say that now.
I mean, he's playing it right now. I would say I think the Texans
different weapons
are a better team, but I also don't think they're better than the Bengals. They're definitely outperforming this season right now. I mean,
the Bengals right now is the most underperforming team in NFL. They should be. They should have been top of their division with the Ravens and them, and they win 1 week and lose the next. I mean, how would they start off 1-3?
And now they're bottom of the division going against the Ravens this week.
Yeah.
I was another game that I thought was very interesting was the Vikings and the Saints. Josh Dobbs coming in for his second game came at halftime last week, and the Saints were all but out of it, and then stormed back, looked like they might come back to a win, and then Josh Dobbs closed that door real quick and got a win at home. Steelers and Packers. Bryce, I know you're a Bears fan, so I'll let you talk about the Packers and the Steelers, but real close game.
I mean, watching the Steelers, they're always going to find a way to win. It doesn't matter who's on their team. They have good coaches around them. Can't stand it. We got, I don't even know, who is their starting quarterback right now?
Kenny Pickett's starting in Pittsburgh
Kenny
right
Pickett's
now.
starting. This is his second time starting this season, right? Didn't Mitchell Trubisky take over for a
little
bit?
Yeah, I think he had a rib injury.
I mean, they're having Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterbacks, and they're out here 6-3 already.
That just shows how good that defense has played.
I mean, Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Agree.
I mean, but you got to think Pittsburgh don't fire coaches. I mean, they've had 3 coaches in 40 years or whatever, so they don't fire coaches, and they give them time to develop these players, and they get the players that go in there. They're not picking, they're not getting. anybody amazing to come in there with attitudes, and they play the hard and play and hit you hard and put their foot in your mouth. I mean, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Especially once he gets here, it gets colder. Man,
Oh yeah,
them warm weather states, even though they play in the AFC North, so most of the teams are used to it. But yeah, it's a hard place to go and to win to is Pittsburgh, and
Packers is not that good. I mean, the Packers are.
no.
Caleb Love is not the quarterback they want. So I mean, they need a more dynamic thrower because that's LaFleur's kind of style. So
yeah, and it's the first time they haven't had Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre back there in 40 years.
Yeah.
So
they deserve
get
a little
somebody.
bit
it's a tough transition, but
I'm sick of
they'll
seeing
find
Packers
somebody.
fans all upset about being bad this year when they've had 40 years of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They can suck it up for a little while and take the beating the Bears have had for the last 50 years.
That moves us into the 3:00 slate, which, I mean, the Cowboys just obliterated the Giants, as they should. Giants they're on their third string quarterback. Their quarterback who started, Tommy DeVito, played at Illinois last year. I watched him as an Illinois fan. And let me tell you, he shouldn't be starting on Sundays. But 49-17, that's what it should have been. Cowboys did their business. Giants it's just not their season.
Giants
They
need to
move
trade.
on.
Giants need to trade Barkley. They need to reset and trade their best players and move on.
Well, the deadline's passed, so he's due to be a free agent after being franchised. Or I think he did sign a 1-year extension, but still free agent at the end of the year.
They got to give him that chance. He'd be so much better at somewhere else with a better system.
Yeah.
They got there.
Cardinals hosted the Falcons in the 3:00 slate, and the Cardinals get their second win of the season. Kyler Murray comes back from the ACL
on the release of COD.
Yeah, on COD weekend. Nobody thought he was going to be there playing quarterback this week, but guess what? Put the controller down for the weekend, studied, got the knee right. And I'm going to be honest. I thought the Falcons were going to come in here and dominate and run the football all day long to Tyler Algier because Arthur Smith does not give the ball to Bijan Robinson at all.
I mean, they've got weapons they just don't use.
He even scored a touchdown, Bijan did, and they still did not find a way to win. So that's disappointing if you're a Falcons fan.
They need a quarterback. I mean, Falcons need a quarterback.
Yeah.
They do. They had
a team of Fields you could trade Fields to.
Yeah.
Heineke,
Georgia boy,
started after taking over for Ritter, being benched a few weeks ago, and ended up getting hurt and was ruled out for the game very quickly with a hamstring injury. So it was Desmond Ritter's show, and he just could not get it done for the Falcons. And then probably the game of the week was the Lions at the Chargers. I mean, 38-41 Lions win. That's a shootout right
Lions?
there.
Those Lions are tearing it up in the Central right now. What do you think about that, Bryce?
I think Lions are pretty clear winner of our division this year. They're just a solid team all the way around. They have a great coach who really changed the culture of them. I really like him. They like to win games. They don't go out there thinking that, oh, I'm not a playoff team because I'm from the NFC Central, like the rest of the NFC Central plays.
Yeah.
Like, they go out there and they play with like a winning attitude, and it's fun to watch them. Really, I hate saying that as a Bears fan, but it's fun to watch the Lions.
They have so many weapons with an average quarterback back there. That's all you need. I mean, Jared Goff's not some great quarterback, but they got a bunch of weapons. He just manages the game, and they got stellar defense, and that's what you got to have. I mean, they pass. Yeah. They're the only team that only rush 4 people at a time, on a down.
Yeah.
They don't like the blitz. They like to cover, and that's what they do, and they get it done. And that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And they're the team. Them and Dallas are probably the 2 teams in the NFC that are going to give anything. Philly. But, I mean, who you draw is probably where it's going to be and where it's going to be at.
Yeah. I've been very impressed with the line. To me, they have a lot of players. They don't care about their stats. They're like Jared Goff. Jared Goff doesn't care if he has to hand the ball off 30 times a game or if he has to throw it 30 times a game. Jared Goff's out there to win football games, and that comes off the head coach of Dan Quinn, like Bryce said, who I believe is an excellent coach. Change the culture around. I mean, Lions in our entire lifetime haven't won anything for the most part other than a few seasons with Stafford and Megatron. But, man, they really have changed that culture. And then on the flip side, the Chargers, man, they just have learned how to lose games. They have the opposite, I believe. They don't know how to win the close games because the last few years, every year, the Chargers are supposed to be the team to take the step. They hire Kellen Moore in the offseason from Dallas, who has a top 5 offense. I mean, they're putting up 38 points a game, or in this case, but still, to me, they just don't know how to win the close game. And I think that's I think that comes down to coaching at the end of the day.
That's been San Diego's. I mean, they've been like that my entire life almost. I mean, they've had some good offensive defenses. I mean, they made the Super Bowl. You know, when I going through, and when I was in high school and got beat, Junior Seau, you know, was their linebacker and stuff. They just they can't win. There's just something about it. Not since the 70s or whatever when they were decent. They cannot win. I mean, I Philip Rivers for how many years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, the problem with the Chargers right now is, yes, you have Herbert. He's young. He's extended. He got his extension in the offseason. He's there long term. But, man, a lot of the supporting cast is old. I mean, you look at Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's their best player on offense outside of Herbert. And, I mean, he's putting up great stats, but he's in his late 30s. I mean, how long is he going to be able to do
hurt.
that?
I mean, how many times has Eckler been hurt? And how many times has Allen been hurt? Or they got
Eckler's
Williams
a free agent at the end of the season. And, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to extend him? As you said, he's an older running back. Running backs have not had good history of surviving in this league very long the last few years. So
too old. They won't extend him. They'll let him go. They'll draft a younger running back to go with that Josh Kelly or whatever.
All right, that'll move us on to the Seahawks and Commanders, and this was a tight one all game. I think the breaking point was a Kenneth Walker pass that he took about 50, 60 yards for a touchdown that really broke it open. But the Seahawks, to me, are a very confusing team. Some weeks I look at the Seahawks and I say, yep, they're a playoff team, and they could knock off somebody like the Cowboys or the Niners in a first-round wild card if they had to. And then other nights I go, man, they're just so mediocre sometimes. So they're a very confusing team to me.
To me, Seahawks play good football. And whenever you're a good team playing the Seahawks in the playoffs, they're going to play good football. You know that. You can't make mistakes against this team. This is a team you can show up and lose to, even though you're favored by however much.
I agree. They can beat you on any given day. But
I mean, Pete Carroll's a good coach. Pete Carroll's always been a good coach, and he will always be a good coach. Everywhere he's been. So, I mean, he's got that team playing the way he wants them to play. You know, everybody puts them down halftime. They don't think they're that good, and they go in. You just can't win Seattle too. I mean, that's just a tough place to win.
Yep.
That is a tough place to play. But Seahawks get the win. They move on to next week. That's all you can ask for. That takes us to Sunday Night Football, where the Raiders hosted the Jets in a 16-12 game, and I'm going to tell you what. Zach Wilson needs to go. I'm sorry. Even I get Aaron Rodgers is out. He wasn't supposed to play. But my gosh, the Raiders fired their coach. They're having an abysmal season, and you can't score one touchdown. I mean, something has to change.
Yeah, that's pathetic. I mean, I'm putting Garrett Wilson on the bench from now on. He doesn't have a quarterback to throw to him, and the Raiders' defense isn't something to brag about. And if you're not getting passes on him, so
no, I mean, Jets haven't had a quarterback in a while. I mean, that's just but they always have a stellar defense. I mean, you can take them back when when freaking Sanchez was their quarterback. They cannot find the quarter. I mean, Chad Pennington was probably their last good quarterback, and they just can't get anybody. They draft all these guys. I mean, I don't know if it's the nightlife in New York or what it is. They just can't figure it out. And then they usually have a decent running game. And this year, you know, they got one game they get a good one, and then they don't. When you're stacking the box because you can't throw the damn ball, I mean, it's hard. I mean, Zach Wilson is absolutely terrible.
The Raiders have Max Crosby coming off the edge. I understand he's an excellent pass rusher, definitely top 10 pass rusher in all of football. But the Raiders do not have a good defense outside of Max Crosby. They do not have the top 5 defense. It's not like they're facing somebody that has a dominant defense where Zach Wilson will struggle. But, man, to not score a touchdown in the entire game, I mean, it was just – I think that, to me, that's a final straw. You got to move on. And you're facing – you can't pull out a win because you can't score a touchdown. You're facing Aiden O'Connell on the other side. You know, it's not like you're facing a powerhouse team. So,
I mean, Jimmy G sucking it up too. I mean,
and then that leads us to last night, Monday Night Football, Broncos and Bills, and
this game.
I don't know what to say.
This is primetime football. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong. They underperform. Bills don't look good right now.
No, they are struggling, and it starts with Josh Allen turning the football over. Roy,
but Josh
Allen,
this
better than anyone. You can't win a football game if your quarterback's going to turn the ball over 4 times. I don't care who you play in the NFL.
To be fair, some of those turnovers were not his fault.
but you got to think, Josh Allen when he was in college was a 60% passer completion rate. Ratio. He was terrible, as you know, but he had an arm, and it's not translating. I mean, he still turns the ball over. Even when they were good a couple of years ago, when they were running the ball and throwing his, keep competing with the Chiefs, and when Chiefs had a terrible defense, that's when they were good. I mean, they could actually move the ball down. He can't do it anymore. For the last 2 years, he's actually been horrible. And their line's not been that good. He's getting hit more. He reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger when he was good for a couple of years, struggled there for a while, and then maybe they'll build the team around him again. I mean, he's got 2 good receivers. I mean, Stephon Diggs is probably one of the best receivers in the league, and you just can't get it to him.
Stephon Diggs, I mean, 3 catches, 4 catches, not much more than that. I don't know how you don't design a few plays to get him the ball. I understand the Broncos have Patrick Surtain, who's a top corner in this league, but you have to find ways to get your best players the ball. Exactly.
I mean, they had a drive. I don't remember what game it was, but they went to Stephon Diggs 4 times in a row to win a game this year, and you just don't even see him getting the ball now.
Nope.
That's why we see his brother.
Well, that's why he comes out right now. That's why he came out and said, "Hey, give me the ball." I mean, he's
I'm not saying it's Josh Allen's fault. The play might not be to get the ball to Allen. Maybe he's a decoy, and sometimes you just got to live with that being the best player. But
got to get the ball. They got to be able to run the ball. Though.
Josh Allen struggling with the turnovers and whose fault that is. Today, the Buffalo Bills fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. He's out.
Yeah.
So that tells me that maybe it wasn't all Josh Allen not getting Stephon Diggs the ball or
offensive coordinators are just scapegoats. Offensive coordinators are just scapegoats. All of them. That's all it is. Then
I agree.
I mean, it's never. I mean, they come up with a game plan. There's some that are just bad. I mean, but you got to have the personnel that you want if that's your offensive coordinator. I mean, look at the Jets. I mean, they want their offensive coordinator. I mean, you got a bad quarterback there in Buffalo. You have you have an average quarterback, a guy who he can look really good, but when he runs the ball, so you got to think when he can run the ball, that's when he's good. That's when they're moving the ball. But when Josh Allen has to sit back and throw the ball, he's never been that good.
To me,
in my opinion,
I just never the Bills. I know Josh Allen has a cannon. He's a little inaccurate. They need to run the ball a little bit more, and then they can hit some play actions and bring those linebackers up. And Josh Allen has the arm to get it over the linebackers. So I think they need to start running the football more. They have James Cook, good running back. They have Latavius Murray, and they signed Leonard Fournette a few weeks ago. I haven't even seen him in a Bills uniform. So I think that's a good way to get it going. But that's going to be all for the week 11, 10? Week 10. And that's going to take us to, based off week 10 players, fantasy players of the week. We all 3 play fantasy. I did some research on who I thought were some of the best players of fantasy for the week. For me, it was the Cowboys offense. You had CeeDee Lamb, you had Brandon Cooks, you had Dak. That happened against the New York Giants, as they should have dominated, but I'll give the Cowboys offense as the fantasy players of the week. And then in the 3 o'clock slate, the Chargers and the Lions game, Keenan Allen and Amon-Ra St. Brown for both 30-plus points in that offensive shootout. Those are my fantasy players of the week.
As much as I hate to say it, I think I'm going to go with a Detroit player too. And if you have one of their running backs, I would start them because
that's true.
The Bears, their run defense is definitely the worst part of their game, in my opinion. And whoever they're playing each week, they're going to run all over them.
Yeah, Gibbs and Montgomery, that's a good backfield to have.
Also, if you have anybody on Dallas, I would probably start them as well going against Carolina. You're going to see CeeDee Lamb probably put up a good number of points.
Yep. First player in NFL history to have 10 catches and 150 yards in 3 straight games, CeeDee Lamb. Roy, who are your players for fantasy?
I was going to go with the Detroit running backs, but I also got to go with the San Francisco. I mean, they got hot. I mean, their quarterback, Purdy and Kittle, and their defense came alive. I mean, they needed that bye week. I think they needed to reset. Brock, he was struggling. Their quarterback play was actually not very good. I mean, especially they had chances to beat Cleveland. They had chances to beat a couple, to come down the last drive, and he just couldn't. He couldn't finish it, and I think his inexperience. He played at Iowa State. I mean, he just didn't get into the big games. Now he's getting in them, and their teams are figuring him out. And he's got to figure out he's got to start winning with his arm. You can run McCaffrey all day, but I think I think he needed that bye week, do some scouting on himself there, and I think he did it. Came out and did it with Kittles, and I think that's what's been the problem. I don't think they get the ball to Kittles as much. I mean, he's he's a hard guy to get down.
I know. Deebo Samuel's been out for the last few weeks, I believe, with a shoulder injury. I could be wrong. And
he came back.
Yes, Kittle has been great since Deebo left, and then Deebo came back. And Kittle, he did have a very good stat line. He had one catch for a very long touchdown, and if you take that away, again, he only had about 4 catches. So yeah, I agree that they should definitely look to Kittle more. He needs more check down routes. I think they only run him deep for some reason, the way that I've seen it. But I agree, Kittle could definitely be a big part in that offense.
And of course, this week, CMC was going for the record of any time touchdown scorer in a row. And if you were to continuously bet on this and put it all back in, you would have had $480,000 going into this week and lost it all this week.
This was the week.
That sucks for anybody that lost that.
Yep. All right, and now we're going to look ahead to next week's slate of games and just see if there's any big-time games. And I'll tell you what, there's quite a few. Thursday night, we kick it off with Bengals at Ravens. That's going to be a good game. The Bengals are coming off a bad loss against the Texans, and the Ravens are coming off a bad loss against the Browns.
Yeah.
The Bengals are 5-4 and at the bottom of the division, good division, but they're going to have to figure it out because you go to 5-5 after week 11 in the AFC, especially, you're going to be fighting. You're going to be fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah. I think Baltimore's at home trying to steal their spot at the top of the playoff. Trying to steal that spot, and I just don't think the Bengals are performing right now. And I'm going to take Baltimore in this.
Yep, I don't know if we're going to go into picks right now. We can go into picks right now. Actually, might as well. I am going to take the Bengals after a tough loss where they almost came back against the Texans. I'm going to take the Bengals on the road to win this game.
I don't know. It's a tough one. I think I'm going to go with the Bengals too. I just think Lamar Jackson is inconsistent. I don't think they have a great running game. I think that's when the Bengals were good with even Lamar, they had a decent running back, So I mean, Dobbins was good. I mean, that's what they had. But now, they're when you have to sit back with Jackson, throw the ball a ton, he's just not that accurate. He's a playmaker. He can score. He'll keep them in game. I just don't think. I think the Bengals. It's a Thursday night, short week.
Yep.
I think Joe Burrows has got. I mean, he just seems like he's one game on, one game off right now, and I think this game that he's on, throwing the ball, they got to get Jamar Chase more. I mean, that's ridiculous. You got maybe one of the best receivers in the NFL, and you can't even give him the ball sometimes.
Same with T. Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins has been hurt. He's been banged up, but poor season.
I mean, they got to do better. I'm going to go with the Bengals on this one.
All right. Next game, we'll go into Sunday. We'll go Browns-Steelers in Cleveland. I'm going to take the Browns this week. I think their defense is way too powerful for the Steelers' offense, especially it's been struggling against anybody. And I just think the Browns' offense can run the ball enough to get to the Steelers because I don't think they're going to put up too many points.
I completely agree. And they're at home. I don't see the Steelers coming in and scoring more than 20 points on the Browns at home. It's just
I agree.
I don't see it happening.
I'm going to go with Steelers. They always find ways to win, man. I don't know what it is about Tomlin. He loves those, smack in the mouth games where you can't get the ball up and down the field. It'll be a low scoring game. It's not going to be fun to watch. But I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think they'll find a way to win. I mean, they seem to do it.
Next, we got the Raiders going to Miami to face the Dolphins off of their bye week. The Dolphins are. Bryce, I'll let you take this one first.
I think we're going to see the Dolphins outscore what they did against the Broncos against the defense almost. I mean, I would be surprised if Tua plays the fourth quarter. I don't see any way they're at home off the bye week. They don't put 40 points on them at least. Yeah. I would take Miami with the spread no matter what it is in this game.
Roy, how about you?
I'm going Miami. I got Tua as a fantasy quarterback, and he's going to have a monster day. So whoever's playing me this week in fantasy, better watch out because he's going to be big this week.
Luckily, it's not me.
I am also going to take the Dolphins, but I'm going to take this one to be closer after the Raiders' performance against the Jets offense. I know the Jets offense we just said was bad, but they did play very well.
Miami's getting a lot of defenders back, and their defense is starting to play better.
I still do think the Dolphins win this game, but I think it's closer than the other two people believe. Now we go to the Bears game, and they're going to Detroit to get their kneecaps bit off.
I'm gonna keep my opinion out of this one and just let you guys talk
I'm
about it.
gonna take the Lions. I think the Lions are too well coached. I don't think the Bears are on the same level as the Lions. It's in Detroit. I don't think it's a blowout, but I don't think it's a close game either. So I'm gonna take the Lions.
Yeah.
Detroit by 4 touchdowns. Just gonna say that.
I'm gonna say Detroit probably has the best run game in the defense or in the league, and going against the Chicago Bears with the worst run defense in the league.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
Fields
long
playing?
day for the Chicago Bears.
He
He should be, but who knows with our coach.
Yeah.
He says he's doubtful.
If
He
you were
says he's
smart,
out. The guy can't speak.
You're in week
That's
11.
true.
You might as well just sit him for the rest of the year and
See,
just let him.
and
let him-
I've also agreed with that. You know, at this point, what are you playing for if you're the Bears?
Yeah, what are you
I mean,
playing
if
for?
we let him sitting, like
You're just trying to be
we're not
above
going to get
the-
that development we want.
Are you just trying to be above the Packers? Is that way so you'll be the shittiest team in the
No.
conference?
I could care less about that this year. I'm all about picks for next year. Give us the 1 and the 2. Bear down, baby.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Next game we're going to go to is the Jaguars and the Titans in Jacksonville. That's going to be a good game, divisional matchup. Bryce, what do you think here?
Jaguars and Titans in Jacksonville. We were actually at a Jacksonville Titans game last year in Tennessee.
We did.
And we watched Jacksonville put about 40 on them. So I'm going to take Jacksonville.
That was the game they started to get hot and went on their run to go.
Yep.
They ended up making to the, I believe, the AFC Championship game, and they lost to Kansas City to go to Super Bowl.
And we all lost money that day and sat in the freezing cold rain watching Jacksonville just destroy
It was
Tennessee.
cold that day.
Yep.
You're right. Roy, how about you?
Jacksonville. I just don't think Titans aren't that good. I mean, Derrick Henry's been absolutely. He looks old now. All of a sudden,
Yeah, he feels like he's lost the burst.
Yeah, I think he wanted to be traded. I think he was really wanting to get traded out of there, and I think Jacksonville is trying to win that division. So I think they got it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Jacksonville as well. I do like Will Levis. I think he's played well. He's really got a good connection with Hopkins, but I think the Jaguars just going to be too much for him. Then we got the Chargers going to Lambeau to face the Packers. This is an interesting game. Packers struggling, Chargers struggling.
Yeah, I mean, this is just two teams that are underperforming from what they were really projected. I mean, I don't think Jordan Love's anything to talk about. I think the Chargers are a good team that are playing bad. I think Green Bay is just a bad team this year and doesn't really have a whole lot going. Give me the Chargers.
All right. I think I'm also going to go with the Chargers. This one to me is very close. I do think the Packers play well in Lambeau. They always have. Even Jordan Love feels more comfortable in Lambeau. But I think the Chargers are just a little too much offensive power for them to keep up.
I think it'll be close because I think it's going to be bad weather. It's supposed to be starting to get cold.
Yep.
And just coming in from the West Coast, I just don't. Herbert's not good in cold weather from what I've seen. Maybe this is still different. I just feel like when I've seen him in cold weather, he doesn't throw the ball well. I still think the Packers are terrible. I think, I agree with Jordan Love is not the quarterback. I think they need to start looking for other ones. I don't even know who's even on the bench anymore. I don't have a clue who their backups are. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the Chargers too, even though I think it'll be close. I just think they got too much more firepower than the Packers. So I'll go with Chargers.
This is an interesting game. This is one of the last noon games of the day. Before the season, we would have thought this was one of the worst matchups of the season, and now there's a little bit of intrigue in it. We got the Cardinals going to Houston to face the Texans. Kyler Murray back. Texans playing well.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want the Cardinals to win, that way the Bears have better shots at getting better picks, I'm going to have to take Houston because Houston is playing great. C.J. Stroud is playing out of his mind. I would have never thought this after seeing him bomb that test and being an idiot at the beginning of the season, as people were saying. The guy's playing great. He's good at football. Like he said, he's not a test taker. He's a football player.
That's very true.
And the guy's proven that.
He went to Ohio State. They can't even spell their names when they go there.
Yeah.
All right. The Michigan fans talking trash on Ohio State now.
Roy, what do you think?
I am going to go with Arizona just because I can't go with I think Kyler Murray's back. James Conner's back. They're getting their injury people back. I think the Cardinals are going to finally start getting on a little run here, which is probably stupid because I don't think that they won't make the playoffs. So
No.
they'll
Yeah,
just
getting Kyler
so
Murray
what
back
happens-
definitely
Kyle Murray
helps.
I mean, he's hard to bring down. I mean,
Yeah.
what's he 5'2"? I mean, he just can't get
Yeah. So
can't
elusive,
find it
so
and get it down.
fast. I
So,
agree. I do think the Cardinals are a better team now with Kyler Murray. He's definitely going to, make some plays that, even though Josh Dobbs played very well when he was in Arizona in his time, but yeah, I can't pick against the Texans right now. They're too hot. They just beat the Bengals, and C.J. Stroud, I also did not think was the number one quarterback in the class coming out. And
he's
he's playing at
putting up MVP numbers.
He is
right
playing
now.
at an
But they
MVP
can always
level.
throw. Ohio State quarterbacks can always throw the ball. They just can't make good decisions because it's a system thing they got there. They've just when you get them off their steps, that's what people just haven't figured out to get them off steps. That's what's happened to Justin Fields. You can't it's a system over there that's really good in college. You gotta get NFL, you gotta learn some more. You gotta actually do some reads.
I agree.
And he's the thing with CJ Stroud right now, he's got weapons. I mean, he's got some receivers, he's got a couple backs, he's got everything around him and a good line. So he can just stand out back there and sling it. And they don't care if they win or lose. Because they're not. Houston was not looking to win this year, and he can stand back there with no pressure and just sling it around.
I agree. That leads us to the next one: Cowboys Panthers. I think we're going to make this pretty quick. Cowboys are going to roll this one. They're in Carolina, but yeah, the Cowboys are going to take this one pretty
I don't think it matters. Their defense is going to pressure Bryce Young all day long, and they'll probably have about 13 completions on the game, 10 of them being screen passes.
Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dexter Fowler, they're looking to have a field day here in Carolina.
Yeah, Cowboys. I'm gonna take the spread, whatever it is, because I think that.
In the last noon game, we got Giants at Commanders. Again, I don't think the Giants are able to win a game right now with a third-string quarterback, so I'm going to roll with the Commanders.
I'm also going to take the Commanders. I think they're a decent team some days, but they did just sell off quite a few players. So Giants with a third-string quarterback, probably not going to beat Commanders. I'm going to take Commanders.
Yeah.
Commanders' defense is too good. I mean, they're actually a top 10 defense. They don't have anything on offense. So,
and that'll do it for the noon slate. A lot of good games up top, but then as we work our way down, a lot of juggernauts against some poor teams. We're going to roll into the 3 o'clock slate where the Buccaneers are going to go to San Francisco and face the 49ers. And to me, this is an interesting game because the Buccaneers have always had a stout run defense, and the 49ers are known for running the football and working play action after that. And I'm going to pick my first upset. I'm going to have Tampa Bay going in there and beating the Niners in Santa Clara.
All right. I completely disagree. I don't think that there's anybody in the league whose defense can compare to San Francisco's offense right now. It's really if you can outscore them, and I don't think Tampa Bay's outscoring San Francisco this week.
Very good point. Roy?
I think San Francisco is, after the bye week, has figured out what they need to do. I think their defense is back and healthy. And I think Kyle Shanahan has got this, going to have this team. I think they'll end up beating them. I don't think it'll be close. I think their defense will give up probably 14 points, maybe 17, but it won't be. They'll score 35. They won't be.
I agree.
I like Baker Mania today for the Buccaneers. And then a rematch of opening Monday Night Football. Jets in Buffalo. Bryce? Two teams playing poorly right now.
We're going to see Zach Wilson just go out there and play like shit again, like he always does. And it's really going to come down to how Josh Allen plays, I mean, we could get a 4-touchdown game out of Josh Allen with a rushing touchdown, and then we could also get a 4-interception game out of him with one passing touchdown. You never really know, but New York, I got to take the Bills on this one.
All right. Roy?
I think the Bills will win it. I think it'll be close early. But the problem with the Jets is they can't stay in games because Zach Wilson turns the ball over or does something stupid, and they don't get good field position. And it hurts their defense because then they put them in a bad spot. And Josh Allen will have a short field all day, and they'll eventually put 1 or 2 touchdowns in there, and it'll be like a 24-9 game because Jets will probably score 3 field goals. So this was week 1 matchup where Aaron Rodgers got hurt on the first drive, and it really was Zach Wilson the entire game. And the Jets won that game, but it was in New York. And because this game is in Buffalo, I'm going to go to the Bills. I think this game is close.
I think the Jets defense is going to make the Bills struggle again. But because it's in Buffalo, I don't believe the Jets are going to be able to overcome it. So I'm going to go with the Bills as well. And then we have a nice NFC West showdown. Seahawks going to the Rams, and the Rams are coming off a bye week. Bryce, what do you think on this one?
Man, Rams coming off a bye week does make me think that they're going to play better, but they are just probably the biggest underperformer from the last 2 years after winning that Super Bowl. And Cooper Kupp and how do you say
Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua, they're solid receivers, but Seattle is just a good football team. Like I said earlier, they're going to come out and play, and I'm going to take Seattle in this. I think Geno Smith, he's not a big playmaker, but he manages the game and plays good football, and they go out and beat teams like this that are struggling.
Yep. How about you, Roy? What do you think about this game?
I think Seattle's got it. I don't think Rams, even on a bye week, I just don't think they have it this year. I mean, I don't think they're – I mean, I love their coach. Sean McVay. I think he was thinking about even retiring last year, taking a break, and I think he's burned. And I think Matthew Stafford is just not right. He's been hurt. I think he's broken or dislocated his shoulder or broken his collarbone or something every year for the last 2 years. I think they're just – I just don't think I think it'll be close, but I just think Seattle will end up getting it.
Yeah, to me, if the Rams were fully healthy and Matthew Stafford, I believe he has a fracture in his thumb or a finger in his throwing hand. If he was healthy, the Rams at home, I would maybe make this a hard decision, but without a healthy Stafford, I believe the Seahawks get it done.
Yeah.
And then that takes us to Sunday Night Football, where the Vikings are going to go to Denver after Denver winning the last few games, even though it hasn't been pretty. And the Vikings with Josh Dobbs on a win streak. This game is very interesting to me.
I mean, we don't get to see primetime Kirko Chains go off again.
Chains will not be in attendance probably.
But Josh Dobbs, volunteer, man. He's out there balling. They liked what they saw at Arizona, brought him in, and he's playing out of his mind. I'm going to take them over Denver.
So you're going to take the Vikings.
I hate taking the Vikings, but I got to take them over Denver.
Roy?
Denver. I think Denver's going to win it.
Denver. So I think
Dobbs got lucky the first week. I think he doesn't even understand where he's going. He just got out there and got lucky. It's going to take a little bit. I think I don't like Russell Wilson. I think he's aged out. Just on what it is. He's lost it. But I think their defense is good, and they hang around every game, it seems like. So I think it's in Denver. They'll take it.
This one's a coin flip for me. I can see both sides coming out. I like the way Denver's defense has played the last few weeks, but I also like the way the Vikings have rallied after Kirko Chains for the Achilles. Sunday Night Football in Denver. I am going to go with the Vikings because I think Josh Dobbs can make more plays than Russell Wilson can right now.
Give us the past or not.
And it's unbelievable to say that out loud, but I really do believe Josh Dobbs is going to win the game for him. And that leads us to game of the week, Monday Night Football, maybe game of the year. It's a rematch of the Super Bowl last year. The Eagles are going to go to Kansas City and face the Chiefs. And, I mean, all eyes are going to be on this game this week. The Kelsey Bowl 2.0. I'm going to let Roy take this one first because I want to hear what Roy has to say.
Oh, I think Kansas City will take it. I mean, I like Philly. I think they got they're just a good team. But this will be a tough game. I think it'll be close, but I think that defense of Kansas City, they went out to Germany. They got a week off. They got to recover.
Very true.
I think Patrick Mahomes needed that week. I think they're going to come out and they're going to be better. So I'm going to go with Kansas City, especially being in Kansas City. I think they'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree. I think Kansas City has been skating by because of their great defense, and their lackluster offense is going to show this week against Philly, who really doesn't have anything in their offense or defense that looks bad to me.
No.
They look like the clear Super Bowl winner this year, in my opinion, and I think they're going to roll Kansas City with 3 touchdowns from the tush push.
Yeah,
we're not banning it.
They're going to win. Unstoppable play in all sports, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, right. I figured you go with Taylor Swift.
No shot. I can't. If I have to see her on the TV again, I'm going to lose my mind, and I'm never watching Kansas City play again.
Yeah, both teams coming off a bye. It's in Kansas City. I have to roll with the Chiefs. The only reason I'm not picking the Eagles in this game is because it's in Kansas City. If this game is in Philly, I think Philly wins. I think the Chiefs get this done. I think they go up early, and I think the Eagles have to pass the ball more than they'd like. And I'm going to take the Chiefs as well. And that's going to do it for our NFL section of this week. And that's going to roll us into the MLB category of this podcast.
Yep.
And we are going to roll off with the 2023 recap of the season, topping off with the Texas Rangers winning their first World Series in their franchise history. Congratulations to them. They went out and spent a lot of money on their middle infield. They spent a lot of money on Jacob deGrom pitching.
And they went out and got Max Scherzer halfway through the season.
Yes, they really did go for it. They also got Jordan Montgomery and a few other pieces. This was a very wild Major League Baseball season in my eyes. There was a lot of disappointment from teams that are always good. There was a lot of very surprising teams who are not usually very good. And Texas gets the win over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Bryce, you have anything to say on a recap of the season?
I mean, MLB is just one of those – it's different than other sports because to me, the Diamondbacks are in the playoffs because Seiya Suzuki dropped a fly ball. And then they make it all the way to the World Series, and we don't get to see the Cubs in the playoffs. And to me, that was my biggest disappointment of the year, being a Cubs fan and just absolutely loving this team. But MLB, like, we got to see the Philadelphia pop off in the playoffs like they did last year, and everybody's rooting for them or everybody's rooting against them because you either hate them or you love them. And to me, I love watching Bryce Harper play, and I thought that team had a shot at it, and hopefully they do it again next year and can top it off, really.
Yeah, it was definitely an incredible slate of playoff teams this year. Many teams that you're used to seeing not in there. So it was definitely a different vibe in the playoffs. Roy, what is your biggest thing from the recap of the 2023 season?
I think the 2023 was a proven that the top franchise in baseball, a lot of them don't know what they're doing, don't know how they're run. I mean, you got the Dodgers, start with the Dodgers, high payroll, always win, and don't do crap in the playoffs. I mean, they won one World Series. The Yankees misspent money on crap all year, winning the season, not having a left fielder, having a weak starting the rotation, and they've never finalized that back into the bullpen. I mean, injuries hurt them a lot this year. They just didn't spend the money right. The Mets spent a ton of money, sucked it up. Didn't spend it wisely. They just didn't spend it right. And then you have a young team like the Atlanta who dominated all
year. Game, did they?
Nope.
And they didn't even get. I mean, they didn't crap in the playoffs.
No, I think they won one game.
Major League Baseball, it's just in Major League Baseball, all you got to do is get into the playoffs. And if you have one or two good pitchers, you can do it. And that's what they had.
Get hot.
Teams that you got to get hot. And that's what Arizona did. They got hot at the right time. I mean, just like I don't know, was it 2011 when the Cardinals limped in to the playoffs and then rode it to the World Series and won. I mean, that's you just got to get in, and you get your pitching stuff right, you get people in the right positions, then you're fine. And that's just something a lot of GMs, a lot of coaches have not figured out, and I don't understand why. And as a Yankee fan, it's just frustrating watching them year after year spend money on stupid players like Josh Donaldson and things like that, and just this analytical crap that they don't understand. It's still old-time baseball. You still got to get on base, you still got to hit the ball, and you still got to play defense and have good pitching. So I don't understand what you need to. I mean, that's the simple things about baseball. And a lot of these teams, I mean, that's what Texas did. They got good pitching. Timely hitting. I mean, Garcia just gave him timely hitting after timely, even though he struck out 3 times in that one and hit the grand slam. I mean, that's what you need. It doesn't matter. You just got to have the right personnel, and that's been just franchises got to learn. That's what it is.
I agree. And we were going to do the biggest surprises next, but I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to go to the biggest disappointments. And you mentioned many of the teams in that recap of yours, Roy. And for me, I had 3 teams that were the biggest disappointments in all of baseball. And 2 of them are going to hit home to us: the St. Louis Cardinals, the New York Yankees, and the New York Mets. The New York Yankees and the New York Mets are a little in a different situation, as they spent a lot of money. The Mets spent even more money, but still a lot of money. And to me, the Mets spent all that money and they traded everything at the deadline. They have nothing left for the most part. And that just shows you can't just buy everything. You still need good young players to come in. You still need good coaching, even though Buck Showalter is a good coach for the Mets or was. But to me, you can't just pay people and expect them to perform to that exact level. You still need coaching. You still need people to stay healthy. So going and get two 40-something-year-old pitchers in Verlander and Scherzer, to me, on paper, yes, it's great. Verlander and Scherzer are Hall of Famers, but can it work all season long? Because you're right, you need to be healthy going into the playoffs. You need to get hot. And that also is true on the Yankees side. The Yankees are the biggest disappointment of the season, in my opinion, because at least the Mets knew they weren't doing well, and they sold. The Yankees didn't sell, really. The Yankees kept their team. They didn't make any moves at the deadline, which is unbelievable. You need to make a decision, Brian Cashman.
They attempted.
You didn't make
they
any.
kept saying they attempted.
No. And I don't care. You let Harrison Bader walk for absolutely nothing. The offseason before, you traded Harrison Bader for Jordan Montgomery, who almost single-handedly won the Rangers World Series pitching-wise. He was their best pitcher in the playoffs. And I understand that the trade at the time. It made sense for both teams, with the Cardinals and the Yankees. But to just flat out give him away, Harrison Bader, for nothing and let him walk, that needs to be – you need to have repercussions for that. I'm not saying he needs to be fired, but that's unacceptable. And the St. Louis Cardinals are another disappointing team because they didn't have much turnover on their roster. They stayed almost the same team for the most part as last season, who won the division and made the playoffs. And they did lose to a hot Phillies team, which it happens. And then coming into this year, just disappointing play from almost every position.
From the first month, even.
Arenado
did not look good.
I understand Goldschmidt is not going to repeat as an MVP. You know, he had an unbelievable year the year before. But Arenado to start out so cold and Goldschmidt to start out, average, just not an MVP level. But everyone else around him struggled mightily. And they dug a hole right off the first month, like Bryce said, and they could not recover. And to me, those are three teams that, you looked at those three teams that be playoff teams and World Series contenders, and to flat out miss the playoffs completely is just a ginormous disappointment, in my opinion.
Who would you say is their best player this year?
The Cardinals?
Yeah.
Arenado.
Probably Arenado. After the first month,
Arenado or
he was
Nootbaar?
fine. Nootbaar was fine, but he was hurt for majority of the season.
They just
on and off.
I think Arenado is their best player.
I agree. Contreras really struggled there early.
Yeah.
He got it going late.
Until he played the Cubs.
Yeah. Yep. That's all you need is face your old team that didn't pay you. But to me, those teams are the three teams that really, really struggled. And from us being in St. Louis and me and Roy being Yankee fans, those two hit home to me. So hard season to watch. But
Yankees was a huge disappointment. I got to throw in. I think the Brewers were a disappointment, and the team that was supposed to be pretty hot.
Yes.
And so, they were supposed to be pretty good. And I didn't, all the money that the Twins and gosh dang it, and the Angels put out there. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're the biggest disappointments. To me, the Yankees' biggest disappointment. The Cardinals it would be up there. So we go to the playoffs, I'd say Atlanta and I'd say Baltimore. Baltimore had a great year and then just didn't do crap in the playoffs. That's just, but overall, I think the Yankees all talk, no show, and that's just bad. And that's just bad look. And they're not doing that. I don't think they'll do anything this offseason. So when we get into that.
And the thing with the Yankees with me, Roy, you're going to be able to testify for this as well. Aaron Judge went down for about 3 months, maybe 2, because he broke his toe against the wall in Dodger Stadium. Fluke injury could happen to anybody. It's not injury prone. It happens. And that's fine. It's not Aaron Judge's fault. It's not the Yankees' fault. But when you did not have Aaron Judge, you had almost a completely healthy roster at that time. You were a bottom 5 team for the next 2 months without Aaron Judge. Yes. That one player, especially in baseball, it's much different in basketball and other sports. That one player cannot carry a team like that by himself. So you need to look everybody else in the face and figure out what the problem was. And they obviously did not figure it out because they continue to lose every game.
Well, they were batting under 200 as a team.
Yeah.
Or right around 200. That's pathetic.
I agree.
Torres was the only person who could even put anything on a ball, put the bat on the ball at all. He was the only one. And pitching just was, besides Garrett Cole, I mean, the Yankees are wasting Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge right now.
I agree.
Wasting their time. And
I agree.
It's just embarrassing.
And the worst part for me is both those players don't want to leave. Aaron Judge signed there long-term to stay. Garrett Cole signed there, and he opted into his contract to stay there. Those two want to be there. They want to win in New York. And if you can't figure out how to put a team around them, then, and you're the New York Yankees, don't tell me money's a problem. You have the money. And because you've spent it wrong does not give you the reason to not spend it. Figure out how to do it. But yeah, that's a different argument for another day. But Bryce, what are your disappointments from the MLB season?
I mean, mine is clearly the Cubs not making the playoffs. I mean, we were the hottest team in baseball. I think it was July that month. Bellinger played out of his mind. He completely turned around this team from last year, him and Dansby together, and then adding Jameer Candelario at the end of the season at the deadline to add our first base hole. Like, our team looked solid. I think we had probably the best defensive team in all of the league. And we were good at putting the ball in play, and we blew it. We had the playoff spot in our destiny, and then we played, I think, the Braves and the Brewers at the end of the season that I don't think we won a game in, and it just kicked us out, and then that's it. And now the Cubs are either looking at a rebuild or signing somebody like Shohei Ohtani this offseason. But
yeah,
honestly, to take that disappointment, you think that was your biggest disappointment when at the beginning of the season? Did you even think you'd make the playoffs?
At the beginning of the season, adding Cody Bellinger, I thought we were a playoff team.
You thought you were a playoff team before they started the season?
Before they started the season, I thought it was going to be a toss-up because me and you made a bet on it. And you gave me 40 wins, Yankees Cubs, which I still haven't received. And
no, I'm with you, Roy. I was very surprised by the Cubs. They did get, to me, very good performances, and I mean, best of their careers. Maybe not Cody Bellinger's MVP season in LA, but very close up there with it for at least 2 or 3 months of it. They also got Justin Steele, who was a Cy Young candidate
unbelievably
almost all of the season. And yeah, I agree. I understand your perspective. You know, it's disappointing that your team didn't get in, but that's a successful season to me.
Yeah.
You know, especially being a team that hadn't been competing the last few years to get all the way up there. But you made a good point, and I'm actually interested to listen to Roy and your perspective on the Cubs because me and Roy both agree going into the season we did not view the Chicago Cubs as a true contender to win a World Series. With that being said, though, at the deadline, you guys were right around 500, maybe even a little bit below 500. And we went to the series right before the deadline, Cubs in New York. And all the talk in New York was, are the Cubs going to trade Cody Bellinger to the Yankees? Because we needed an outfielder. You guys looked like sellers at the time because you were a little bit below 500. And you guys decided not to sell and to go for it. It ended up not working out. And, you know, you could always re-sign the players, but you could have gotten something back.
Yeah.
Do you still think that was the right idea not to sell at the deadline, Bryce?
Well, we won in New York. Correct. And then came back
2-1 series.
And then we won here in St. Louis. So we were leading our division or 1 game back, I think. And we had to go for it there. Our team was hot. We were going in it. They played great. They started coming up with their own celebrations and stuff. Like, you could see the chemistry in the team, and they wanted to win. It's not a team I wanted to break up. I wanted to give them a shot, and they did great until the last 2 weeks of the season. And you just can't predict a 6-game loss at the end of the season when it's in your destiny, you know?
I agree. It is a fair point. I mean, you guys did take the series in New York, and you were playing well. But to me, you signed Cody Bellinger on a 1-year deal, on a prove-it deal, really, and he proved it. And, man, you guys could have cashed in. And even though I understand if you take Cody Bellinger off that team, it definitely makes them worse. But, man, I don't know what the offers were like. Nobody does. But you could have really reaped some benefits there. Roy, what about you? Would you have broken up the Cubs, or do you think that they should have? Or would you have agreed with Bryce and let him ride it out?
I think the Cubs wanted to ride it out. I think they needed to. I think they – honestly, money-wise, they need to pay for all that stuff that they're getting out, all these new rooftops and everything. And they had a good season. They need to ride it out. They weren't going to get the only team that was going to give them anything for Bellinger was probably, it wasn't going to be the Yankees. Yankees weren't going to give him anything worth the while. So I don't think they would have got anything in what they needed to be for a reason. I always trading good players for prospects. Prospects don't always work out, and I think you got to ride it out and see if you can keep them, because you're not gonna. I think they're honestly not going to be able to keep Cody Bellinger. I think they're going to lose some of that stuff, and the Cubs are going to have to find a way to do it. I know we're going to get into the offseason stuff, but I think the Cubs had to ride it out.
Yeah, I definitely see the perspective of it, but to me, when you do someone like a prove it deal like that, and I'd even understand if he was playing.
Cody Bellinger was
average.
So bad the year before. I mean, he was
exactly,
so bad.
And he was hot at the deadline. That was in the middle of his being on fire. So to me, I just think unless the offers just were nothing, which that I will never know. But to me, if you had an offer that could have, even been one prospect that you found that was worth it, I think I would have unloaded. But they decided not to. They missed the playoffs. Disappointing, but it's still a good season.
To me, this does make us a buyer for this year, though. Even if we don't sign Cody Bellinger, we prove to these other teams that we can make the playoffs, with one piece. So people like Shohei Ohtani and Pete Alonso, these are landing spots
what
for them to come to. Yeah.
Depends on what piece that is. I mean, I don't think getting Ohtani is gonna. I don't think you'll get Ohtani. I just think I think he'll stay on the West Coast, and I think the Dodgers are going to just give him whatever he wants, and I think that's where he'll stay.
We'll save that for the offseason. Let's jump back up. Let's go biggest surprises of this season. And Roy, I'll let you start that off first. Who are your biggest surprises? Orioles.
I was going to say
okay, Orioles. We are all three in agreement. We all three have Orioles. Yeah. But the Orioles last year, they did play fairly well the season before, and they picked right in the middle of the draft. So they had the 17th pick in the draft. So that's missing out on the playoffs. I believe that they were all around that wild card spot the year before, and then the last month and a half they sold, and they really fell off.
But the last 2 years, the Orioles have been really good first half teams and have just crashed at the end. This year, they just kept it. I mean, they have 90 wins this year? 90-some wins?
Yeah, 90-something wins. They're the one seed in the American League.
That's what you get. I mean, that's just – I mean, they are my biggest surprise. And I would say them, and then how good Atlanta was. So young, so much talent. And to play, I mean, every one of them – and to lose Freddie Freeman and to lose some of these guys that they lost – still win 105 games or whatever they won. So
that was Atlanta was very impressive. We're in agreement in Baltimore. Bryce, do you have anyone else that he did not add in there that you thought was a good surprise?
No, I mean the Orioles they were just such a young team that just looked like they were having fun playing baseball, and they really came out and proved a lot of haters wrong, I think.
I was very surprised that the Orioles took – I think a lot of us viewed the Orioles as maybe a borderline playoff team. Maybe they thought it was that year. To me, the pitching was very surprising. I mean, they had no real aces in that rotation. They had 5 guys that would go out there and throw about a 3.5, 4 ERA. But that offense really carried them. Those young kids really started to hit.
Yeah, and they had a closer at the end. I mean, they had got good starting pitching that could get you quality starts to 6 innings, and then they had a decent bullpen to get them to that closer, and then they closed the game out. That's what they were good at.
Felix Bautista was about as sure as a thing.
They were good.
Yeah, but definitely Baltimore. I'll even throw in Texas. Texas picked in the draft last year 4th overall. Texas was very bad, and the season before they spent on Simeon and Seager in the middle infield, and they were horrible still, but their pitching was the reason they were so bad. And then this year, they went and got that pitching in DeGrom, and he went down. But it was the trades at the deadline, Scherzer, Montgomery, bullpen pieces, and their starters that were there played better because of that. So to me, Texas, I know they won the World Series, but they were a very big surprise for me being that good. I thought they were a good team. Maybe they could make the playoffs in a tough division with the Astros, but they really look good. And then we'll have the offseason. The offseason's just now getting going. Free agents haven't started signing yet. I just thought we'd hit a few of these big free agents, maybe give our opinions where we think they should go, maybe where they will go. We'll start with the big one, Shohei. He's coming off an unbelievable season where he was about to cash in, and then the news hit he needs Tommy John. So he's not going to pitch next year. He's going to get Tommy John eventually. Is he only a hitter now is the question. Some teams thought maybe he could be a hitter and a closer so he doesn't have to pitch as many innings. So, Roy, I'll let you rip. What do you think about Shohei? Where do you think Shohei's going to go?
Tony will be he will be a DH this next year for the first half of the season, and then they'll let him play right field. He's gonna play. He's gonna be a Dodger. I think he likes the West Coast. I think that's where he wants to be, and I think the Dodgers will give him whatever they want, and I think he doesn't need to pitch for a while, and then they can bring him in. I mean, I think they'll spend the $500 million or $600 million, whatever it is, and give it to him. So he's freaking good. But that Tommy, this guy scares some teams. Your arm. He's got an arm that's got needs Tommy John, and he's just going to hit. But that's what he's going to do. He's just going to hit the first half of the year, and then probably, or hit whenever he can come back and actually hit, and then he'll go back in the outfield.
Yeah, I'd say I probably agree with Roy. I don't see him really going many places besides the West Coast and staying with the Dodgers. I've seen maybe signing another 1-year deal with LA Angels, but I see him going to the Dodgers this year more than anything.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with the Dodgers. To me, the Dodgers they've made so many moves at the deadline the last few years and not kept them. I'll give Max Scherzer, Trey Turner, all these people that they've went and acquired and then let walk the following year. I think they've been saving their money for Shohei. I think they might be a little bit scared now because of the pitching, but the Dodgers have the pitchers to let him sit for a year.
Yeah,
I also agree.
Go ahead. I don't think the Angels want to sign him. I think they've spent too much money with him.
I just don't think he wants to go back after. I think Shohei's ready to win. He's been here for 6 years, and he hasn't even made a playoff game yet. So I think he's ready to go to a winner. I do have a sleeper team that I have not seen almost anybody talk about, and I have no sources, but I just see it as a fit, and I could see it happening. I could see Shohei Ohtani being a Baltimore Oriole next year, based off the fact that they moved those walls back to about 600 feet, and I could pitch out there and not give up home runs. It's unbelievable. And that's a young team who just made a 1 seed, who has no ace. They have no money spent. They're not spending any money on anybody. And I really could see that being like, oh, here's our splash, Shohei Ohtani. Now, will he go out east? That's up for debate, but that's my sleeper team for Shohei Ohtani.
My only sleeper team would be Seattle. I think Seattle is the only other top team that would take him. I don't know if they'd even spend that much money. They're the type of team that probably offer him like a 4-year, $400 million. Not go for the full huge, something ridiculous. I mean, they wouldn't do anything. 4 year, they'd try to give a 4-year contract and try to give him $40 million a year or something like that. That's all I could see them doing. Nothing major.
Right. We'll move on to the next one, and we talked about him earlier. It's going to be Cody Bellinger. Did a 1-year prove-it deal in Chicago after basically being released by the Dodgers because they didn't want to pay him his arbitration number that was so high from winning an MVP. And yeah, he showed out. He got hot, looked like old Cody Bellinger, played an excellent outfield, mostly in center field, and went over to right, played first base when he needed to. He can play everywhere. He's only 28 years old. Well, he will be on opening day. And, I mean, there's going to be a lot of suitors for Cody Bellinger. But I'll let Bryce go first because since he's the Cubs fan, he got to witness Cody Bellinger all season. Where do you think Cody Bellinger lands?
I think Cody Bellinger loves the culture of the Cubs, but I don't see him staying there this year as much as I hate to say
Why is that? Do you think it's his choice or do you think it's –
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think him missing the playoffs and us just hiring a new coach, I think we're looking for a new direction with a different star than Cody Bellinger. But I do see Cody Bellinger being a perfect fit for the New York Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the team he's been rumored to for a long time. I mean, it's a fit. They need it. Roy, how about you? Do you think that Cody Bellinger is a Chicago Cub next year, or do you think he goes elsewhere?
Yeah, I don't think he's a Cub. I think the Cubs got him at a discount last year. I think they're still trying to save money. I really do. I don't think they're gonna talk. They're turning in kind of like the Yankees, talk about spending money, but I don't think they're gonna spend the money.
Okay.
He is Cody Bellinger is a perfect fit for the Yankees. I mean, they need an outfielder with a lefty hitter, and they need a backup first baseman I think Rizzo's kind of playing his last few years here, and I don't know if he's going to do it, but I do not think the Yankees will sign him. I have no faith in this GM. I have no faith in this. I think the only person in that is Randy Levine. I think he would be the only one who would spend any money. But they're Cashman. I just don't think I think he wants to ride his team, and I don't know why. There's too many holes. I actually think he's going to end up being a Boston Red Sox. And for some reason, I have this feeling they're going to trade because they're looking at trading Virgo or whatever, and they're looking for outfield help too. I just think that's the type of guy that's going to go to Boston, and the Yankees are going to let him come into Yankee Stadium, and he's going to hit home runs in left and right field in Yankee Stadium in Boston, and it's going to piss me off. So,
yeah, I don't know. I don't think he goes back to the Cubs. I think he's going to cash in. I think that's his number one priority. He had those unbelievable years in LA, really struggled there for 2 years, was basically cut. Cubs sign him. I think he's going to cash in on his year. I agree with you, Roy. I don't think he's going to be a New York Yankee, even though he's a perfect fit. And the reason that I don't think he is I think Cashman is going to be too afraid to miss on Cody Bellinger. Those 2 years in LA where he was not good, he was abysmal. That's the problem. He struck out every at-bat, couldn't put the ball in play. They started booing him a little bit, and he really struggled. And he needed a fresh start in Chicago, and he got it, and he was good. But I think Cashman's going to be too afraid to miss because he's going to get a big deal, projected 7 years. I don't know if he gets 7 years, but I just think he is a perfect fit in New York. A team that I believe I could see him going to is the Cincinnati Reds. They're young. They don't have superstars yet. Adding Cody Bellinger, who can play all over the field wherever you need him to, let those young kids still play their positions, and they can afford to pay him, maybe a little bit more for a year less of a contract because they're not paying anybody else. So that's my team for Cody Bellinger. Hitter's Ballpark in Cincinnati. He's played there because he was on the Cubs. So that's my team. But I agree. I don't think he's a New York Yankee. And then I wasn't going to talk about this guy earlier, but I am going to talk about him right now, and that's Aaron Nola of the Phillies, former Phillies. Reports are the New York Yankees are heavily interested in Aaron Nola. Roy, what are your thoughts? Do you think the Yankees are looking to add another starter? Do you think they will? Is it Nola? What are your thoughts?
I think the Yankees need another starter. Garrett Cole is the only one I really truly trust. I didn't think they should ever trade Jordan Montgomery. Love Jordan Montgomery. Remind me so much of Andy Pettit. I thought they just used him wrong. They didn't let him pitch. Yeah. I'm not a Nestor Cortez fan. I just don't think he's got it to go.
Doesn't like nasty Nestor.
Nasty Nestor.
No, man. He's a bullpen guy to me. He's a long reliever. The Yankees need pitching, starting pitching. We know Severino was terrible.
Yes.
I was not a fan of what's his name? The lefty that we got from last year that was hurt for most of the year. Rodon. I was not a fan of him. We need pitching. Is it Nola? I don't know. I don't think it will be. Yep. I think if the Yankees are going to go pitching, it's going to be that dude from Japan or whatever.
Yamamoto.
Yeah, yep. I think that's who they're going to go after. I don't see them doing anything because that's who the Yankees like, those kind of guys, and I think that's who they're. I think Nola, he's going to end up. So I don't know I haven't looked to see where he's going to be at. Probably Philly. He seems to love Philly from whatever.
Do you think Stroman's a valuable option for Yankees as a starter?
Yeah, there's a bunch of starters out there.
Yankees.
Stroman does not. Marcus Stroman does not like the Yankees very much.
No.
The reports I read were Aaron Nola was, and it wasn't just Aaron Nola, but the Yankees were all over the starting pitching market early. So that tells me that they are going to get somebody. And I do believe the Yankees are going to sign Aaron Nola. I think that's going to be their big signing. I think they're going to miss on Yamamoto. I believe someone's going to pay him a little bit too much. And I think Aaron Nola is their guy. The team to watch out for me, for Nola, if it's not the Yankees, is the Cardinals. Because the Cardinals are said to at least want to grab 2 starting pitchers from free agency. And if they're going to spend some money, Aaron Nola's already 30. They're not going to sign him for 10 years. I can see that being a good fit as well. Bryce, you have any thoughts on Aaron Nola, where you think he might go?
No, I mean, Yankees does seem like a good spot, but as you say, Cardinals is also a really valuable spot.
Yeah, that's the one thing with free agency. It's really a bidding game. So, you can say these fits.
Yankees will sign a Jack Flaherty or somebody stupid like that who's been shit for the last 2 years that they think they can remake, and then he'll be average for the Yankees. That's what we've done for the last 3, 4, 5 years. We get somebody who's either been really hot one year and he comes in and just shit for us, or he's been. I mean, the only person we've ever spent really money on pitching wise is since CC has been Garrett Cole.
So, yep.
I mean, and that was a no brainer. I mean, I'd love to get Blake Snell if the Yankees could get that, but that's somebody they're going to go. I mean, too low of ERA for them. I mean, that's just not what the Yankees can't go for that.
All right, that we'll talk about more next week on offseason. Hopefully, some signings start get going. Usually doesn't pick up till the winter meetings in December, but
December first week in December is when you're going to get baseball.
But maybe we'll get some more rumbles and news. But those were the big ones I wanted to hit on today.
Going into the NBA section now.
Yep, we're gonna flip on over to the NBA section now.
Yay, raw.
A little out of order.
The first thing that we have on for the NBAs is the Clippers. And the Clippers are a good team, but adding James Harden, in my opinion, was a horrible move. I think James Harden is not a team player, and he can't win without somebody on the floor who can tell him what to do. The only time I've seen him on a team where I thought they were going to win was when he had CP3 on him with the Rockets, and they had CP3 managing the floor, and then CP3 went down and they lose to Golden State. I don't think he's been on another team where I was like, wow, that team's going to win the championship. I mean, I thought it at the beginning, but then you see him play with it and it just doesn't work. I mean, since being on the Clippers, they haven't won a game yet, and they're going into face the Nuggets tonight. They're probably going to be on a 7-game losing streak by the end of this. And people just keep giving this guy money, and he keeps tearing teams down.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, he was in Houston. He's an MVP candidate. He's in his prime. He goes to join a super team in Brooklyn, and he's just not the same. He cannot play with that many people, it seems like. He goes to the Sixers right after, and I think, to me, his problem is he's not the number one guy anymore at these places for the most part, and I don't think he can play like that. Reports are in the Clippers that he's asking to play with the second team a little bit more to get more shots. And if you're asking to get more shots with the second team, then you don't really care about winning. You care about your stats.
Exactly.
And if you have a player like that on your team, I agree. But I also don't think the Clippers were going to win anything without him. So I don't hate the trade, but I don't know if it's going to work or not.
It was dumb. I mean, you brought in another guy that can't play any defense.
Yeah.
All he cares about is shooting. To go play along with the same exactly guy like him, Russell Westbrook, who is is a older version of James Harden. I mean, Kawhi has ruined his career going to the Clippers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Too much talent, too much drive to go to the Clippers to have. I mean, Paul George the same way. They had these drives. They were so good, and what do? You go put them together, and you lose your drive. And I just feel like, I mean, injuries have hurt. I know Kawhi a little bit, but Clippers, they're terrible. I mean, they're not a team. You just put a bunch of bad players together, and play defense, and they're not going to win anything. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, the Clippers, they sit at 3-6 right now. They're 0-5 away from LA. And I mean, you look in the Western Conference and it's stacked. You got the Nuggets, you got the Mavericks, you got the Warriors, you got the Lakers, you got the Suns. I mean, I just don't see a world where they really come out of this. I mean, are they a playoff team? Maybe with the expanded playoffs and the play-in games. And could they beat anybody on a given night? Yes, because they have the superstars when they play. But yeah, they're aging. They trade for a more aging guy who doesn't like to not be the number one, and I just don't like it for him.
I completely agree.
Yep.
I mean, you're looking at. I mean, Denver's the team. I mean,
Yeah.
just Denver's a team. Dallas is good. I mean, you're just the West is not that good in my opinion. Golden. I mean, I think you got two teams, maybe three, with Minnesota or somebody like that coming up. But it's a Denver Dallas show and whatever anybody else.
Yeah.
To me, I really don't see anybody giving the Nuggets a run for their money again. Like same thing I thought last year. I think they're the only team that's a complete team that plays all the time. They don't really have off nights, and they have the best player on the floor at every game.
Yeah, I do agree. I think the Nuggets are definitely a team to beat. I will say one thing about the Nuggets, though. I do believe they can be beat, especially in the playoffs. They went deep last year, going all the way through, winning it over Miami. But that's a long season to play, and Jokic clearly does not want to be there. He just wants to be with his horses. He's the best player in basketball right now.
Basically, his 9-to-5 job, and he's making these guys look stupid out there.
I mean, you play that long of a season, you have a quick off season, and you don't get to do what you want to do, and you're right back in it this year. And yes, they are 8-2; they're dominating, but they're just starting the season.
I won't count off Mavericks. I mean, they got an owner who will go out and get somebody whoever they need at the trade deadline and won't give a crap. So
that's true.
So I won't.
If you had a team, Roy, the Nuggets are definitely the clear winner if they stay healthy and nothing goes wrong. What team do you see that could knock them off the most? You said Dallas?
In the West, Dallas. Yeah, I think Dallas is the only team. Is the only team right now that could probably knock them off.
I'm going to say that they're going to meet the Bucks in the championship, and depending on how Damian Lillard plays, I think is going to be the biggest thing because Giannis is going to give you what Giannis gives you. Damian Lillard has been either super hot or not like what he was with the Trailblazers because he's not the guy on the floor anymore. But he'll still give you 30 on nights. And if we're seeing that against the Nuggets, it's going to be tough for them to stop. Jamal Murray will have to really step up. Yeah.
A team that, only happens if they make the finals is I think the 76ers can really give them a good run for their money. And that's only because Joel Embiid's going to be guarding him. And there's not many people that are as big as Jokic. I know they're height-wise they are, but Jokic is a big man, and so is Joel Embiid. And I think you can at least slow him down a little bit to make Jamal Murray try to beat you, Michael Porter Jr. try to beat you. And I think the 76ers at least have the capability, but that's only if they make it into the finals. But, yeah, if they stay healthy, the Nuggets, to me, are definitely the clear favorite in the NBA.
I think the Celtics could throw them in there.
I agree.
I think
they definitely have the guard and forward play.
I mean, they got the guard play. And I think they'll give them a run.
I agree. All right. Do you want to talk about the Patrick Williams contract situation that's been going on?
I mean, Patrick Williams in the offseason was asking for like $200 million.
Yeah.
And this guy is averaging like 6 points a game, maybe. I think his high of this year is 10? I mean, that's just pathetic. This guy, he shouldn't even be on an NBA floor. He should be in a G League somewhere the way he's playing this year.
Do you think that is the way that the Chicago Bulls are running their organization, or the team by Billy Donovan? Or do you think it's just him just not progressing the way that he thinks he is?
I think it's a little bit of both because I think we're very close to seeing the Bulls just dismantle everything they have.
Yeah.
Because they have a team that's pretty much wanting to win now, but I don't think they have the talent to win now. They're a team that gets hot and plays good for a while, but whenever you get in the NBA playoffs, it's not like the MLB where you can get hot and play those that long hot. Eventually they will get knocked off if they're in the playoffs with this team. So I think we'll be seeing a rebuild come soon.
Yeah, the contract situations in the NBA, I think a lot of players, they see the contracts that some of these role players are getting, like maybe a Fred VanVleet who isn't, the guy in Toronto, but Houston will pay him as the guy because they have the money. And I think everybody just wants it. And some people just maybe aren't as deserving as others. But, yeah, averaging 6 points and wanting $200 million. That's pretty wild to me. And then the last on the NBA checklist is the in-season tournament and the courts / jerseys. And this has been a hot topic on the internet.
To me, they suck. They're the ugliest things that the NBA's put out since they were wearing shorts down to their ankles. I mean, this is horrible. The courts, you can't even see the lines on it because they're bright orange and yellow and red all around it. Like, it's not what I like to see in basketball. I like even the honeycombs, like those look cool and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But whenever you're changing the colors of the whole court and like the jerseys match the color of the floor, it's just not appealing to watch on TV. And that's where most people are watching the game.
Yeah. Roy, have you seen some of these jerseys and courts?
Yeah, I mean, I just think NBA is trying to do anything to get people to watch. That's all. I mean, the NBA is not the NBA. I mean, it was
No.
when I grew up, the NBA was awesome. I mean, it was fun to watch. It was, I mean, hard nosed. I mean, it's kind of like watching football. I mean, people were on the floor. I mean, it was just awesome. It's taken a bad detour into a bad way of playing basketball, and it's not truly basketball, in my opinion. And now they're trying to just get people to watch, and their viewership's going down because no one. I mean, they don't like it. It's just, I mean, it's you just show up, you shoot threes, and that's it. I mean, that's what it's basketball. That's what it's become. And there's no excitement, and that's what they're. So they're just trying something, and it looks terrible. I don't know what this in-season tournament's going to be like. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's any good or not.
Yeah.
But the courts, the jerseys, absolutely terrible.
I agree with you, Roy. It's definitely not the same game as it was. And them adding the in-season tournament for views, I thought it was a good idea. I think they executed it wrong.
Yeah.
To me, it's the only reward for it is the players get more money. So if you are a player, yes, all for it. I completely agree. But there's no incentive for a fan. Like, oh,
Yeah.
sweet, my team won the in-season tournament. They each get $1 million extra. Cool for them. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to have something on the line, I thought this was a regulation and ended up not being it. I thought the winner got an automatic bid to the playoffs. I mean, imagine a team that's playing very well and they're healthy in the beginning of the year. I'll use
I mean, you could use the Bulls.
The Bulls. Yeah, there we go. We'll use the Bulls. The Bulls play well in this in-season tournament and they win it. Well, guess what? They're a playoff team no matter what. They can rest players a little bit more in the later half.
Now they're not selling off their team and they're going for a championship because they have an automatic spot.
But I think they missed the ball on the reward of this tournament versus just money, which for a fan, I mean, I don't want to watch the in-season tournament. I don't get anything out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and the courts, I like the idea. I like the paint being the trophy. I think that's a cool twist. I agree with Bryce. It's the colors on certain courts that make it hard to see because the courts that don't have all, a bright blue court, they look nice. They look different, and I like it. It's the certain courts that have colors that you can't see the lines on TV. That's too much for me. Like, who's that Toronto has the black court?
Yeah.
That's hard to see.
The Heat is all bright red.
Yeah. So I think they missed the ball on a few.
Yeah.
And then the jerseys are a whole different debate.
Yeah. I mean, we see city jerseys that come out every year that are good.
Yeah.
And then we see these in-season tournament jerseys, and I didn't see one that I thought was like, that's a cool jersey, and I want to buy it. But maybe they'll fix it next year. But
I don't know why they need to keep coming out with a new version of a city / in-season every single season. Like, I'll give you an example: the Miami Heat. They had the all black with like the vice pink and stuff. It was beautiful. You didn't need to get a new one. Why do you have to keep getting new ones every single season? Because you're running out of options for these teams.
Let the fans vote on it.
So,
like, we
gotta get more money.
Teams gotta put it out there. Let the fans vote on what we want because we see these and we're not gonna buy them. It's more money for them even if they let us vote on it and what we want to see.
Yeah, the NBA to me isn't putting out a good product right now, and
nope,
you're right. Viewership's down. They're trying to get money, but man, I think they're missing the ball on some of these. I think we're good on the NBA topic. All right, let's move on back. And we're going to go to the college football. And this is going to be Roy's segment to really hammer home because he's the avid college football watcher. I do have the college football playoff rankings up. I'll name the top 4 because right now that's the 4 that are in. It's number 1, Ohio State, number 2, Georgia, Number 3, Michigan, and number 4, Florida State, all 9-0, all deserving to be in the top 4. 5 and 6 are the first 2 out, and that's Washington and Oregon, Pac-12 teams, future Big Ten teams next season. And then after that, you get some one-loss teams that start coming in. But Roy is a Michigan fan. Pains me to say that. So, Roy, what do you think about the top 4? I know Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State.
The new one came out tonight. So Georgia's number 1 now. It came out tonight.
Oh, did they flip? Oh, okay.
It just came out like a half hour ago. So Georgia's 1, Ohio State's 2, Michigan's 3, and Florida State's 4.
Got it. Updated. Got it. That's my fault.
Georgia's improved. Georgia's starting to hit their stride. They're doing really well. Ohio State will get their ass whooping here in a couple of weeks by the Michigan Wolverines, so we'll not have to worry about them. Michigan's on a roll. They're on a mission. This is their team. This is their year. So I'm ready for all of that. Ready for another great couple of months here. Florida State is, ACC. I don't know. They're kind of weak in my opinion. I don't. They're the only 4, in my opinion. They are not a top 4 team. Washington is the 4 team in my opinion. If you went with the 5, 10 and 0 teams, they are the number 4 team in my opinion. The problem with Washington is their defense is not that good, but I mean, they can score better than anybody. I mean, them and Oregon are just. I mean, they're just unbelievable getting down, scoring points. So,
all right. I want to go over some scenarios with you, Roy. First of all, on bounds. So some of these teams, to me, Ohio State and Michigan, they're going to face each other in the Big Ten or in the regular season tournament or a game. That's going to decide who gets in. Okay, Michigan or Ohio State. Whoever wins, they're in. Do you believe the loser should make it? Either way, I understand you don't know what happens, what else, but do you think the Big Ten loser has a chance to get in?
They have a chance. The only thing that's going to screw it up is Alabama's on a roll right now. Yeah. Alabama with 1 loss is going to, in my opinion, right now, they're going to make it to the SEC championship against Georgia, and they're going to beat Georgia. That automatically is going to put Georgia and Alabama in. So that would knock out Ohio State. Okay. The next one would be Oregon. Oregon is playing probably the best. Oregon's probably playing one of the best teams in football. I mean, they're destroying teams. They're just really good, and their defense has gotten better. So I think the problem with that is Ohio State falls behind Alabama and Oregon, so I think you run into that. I will say the only team if Ohio State loses to Michigan, okay, when Ohio State loses to Michigan, Ohio State has a chance. But if Michigan loses to Ohio State, Michigan will not have a chance. They won't even be in the top. They won't even be top 7.
And why is that?
They don't like Michigan. They don't
because Ohio State's a better football team.
No.
Okay. Not even close. Well, you went over.
We won't have to worry about that in 2 weeks.
You were talking about another scenario. In the scenario that I'm going to go, I'm going to say that the loser of the Big Ten does not get in. So Michigan beats Ohio State doesn't get in, or reverse. And you brought up a good one. Bama and Georgia, if they stay undefeated, Georgia does, beats Bama in the SEC championship. Alabama wins. You do believe Georgia and Alabama both get in?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I do agree with you, Bryce. Do you agree with that, or do you not think that?
Well, Florida State and Washington, one of them has to lose, correct?
Well, see, then you're looking at Florida State could lose the ACC championship to North Carolina or I don't even know who the other team is. Louisville.
Louisville, that's the other one.
Them. And I mean, Washington and Oregon will have to play each other in the Pac-12.
Washington and Oregon are going to figure themselves out.
So
you think just one of them gets in then?
I think just one of I think Ohio State and Michigan. I don't think the loser gets in. So I think you're looking at one Big Ten team. You're looking at one Pac-12 team,
and then 2 SEC teams,
or one SEC team and Florida State.
Yeah,
I'm assuming Florida State probably goes undefeated. I don't see them losing. If they do, if Florida State loses, I don't see them getting in at all.
No way. Yeah.
No. If Florida State loses, they're done. I mean, if Florida State, if they lose to Louisville or whoever, I mean, they still got to play Florida. So.
Okay, but what happens for Texas then? Because they're ranked above Alabama, as they should, because they beat Alabama. What happens when Texas doesn't lose another game? How are you going to?
I mean, I think the problem with Texas is they're they could still lose, in my opinion, to their Big 12 championship, which I think is Oklahoma. It's who they're going to play. I don't
who they lost to.
who they lost to. But
Yes.
Oklahoma's been playing really bad lately. So
Yeah.
now Texas could get in. The only way Texas get in is if you get a scenario where Georgia wins out, Michigan or Ohio State. Michigan or Ohio State, their winner will stay in, and Florida State loses, and then you got to have Oregon beat Washington, is what you got. So you got to.
Yeah.
That's the only way I think Texas gets in. I think they fall in just behind Oregon right now, but they can. They have to. They're ahead of Alabama, but I think if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, they surpass Texas.
Yeah,
So,
I think that will be the one thing that throws the wrench in for the committee. If Bama does work their way into the SEC championship like we expect, and they knock off Georgia, I don't know if they can knock off Georgia, but
they're playing pretty hot.
yeah. And if you look down, I mean, after that, those are really the only. You really only have to look at the top 9.
After you get past Alabama, you're looking at 2 lost teams. Louisville's the only 1 lost team, and I don't think they can get in.
I agree. I think you're just looking at the top 8. Next season we go to 12, and that'll
be fun.
That'll be really be different. I agree.
That'll be the year I start watching every game.
Let's move on to college basketball. We'll wrap this up pretty quick. We do have the college basketball rankings. It is early. Kansas number 1. Yep. And I'll just jump right into it. The Champions Classic is tonight. It's actually going on as we speak. We haven't looked at any of the scores. We don't know what's going on. The first game is Michigan State and Duke, and both teams upset in their first week. At least Duke was to a very high-powered number 3 Arizona. Michigan State loses to an unranked opponent at bye game. So not a good look, but that should be a really good matchup between those two teams. And then the second one, the Champions Classic, is probably the best game of the night, and that's It's Kansas and Kentucky. Kentucky without 2 of their bigs, but they also have 3 of the top guards in the entire recruiting class this past season. And Kansas, number 1 team, getting Michigan's transfer, Hunter Dickinson, leaving that program in Michigan. Thank God.
Good.
Left the shitty program.
No.
Michigan's struggling this year. I don't blame him. He's a senior.
Michigan's not struggling this year, so that's what's good.
Okay. And then the last one, which is just a Big Ten, not ACC. It's a Big East. That's what it is.
Big East.
Illinois
Big
hosts. Yeah. Illinois 23 hosts number 4 Marquette in Champaign. Big game. Marquette, their best player, had an ankle injury, I believe, and is expected to play. But who knows how healthy he will be. I saw before the game, Illinois. It is in Illinois. It's favored by 1.5. And to me, that's very shocking. I think Marquette's the top team in the country. I was surprised to see that they were favored. So do you have anything you want to talk about, Roy, in college basketball? You said something about Michigan. Maybe you want to give a little insight on that?
Hey, Michigan's 3-0 right now. This transfer portal helped them.
Okay.
Hunter Dickinson, he was good for Michigan for what he did, but he slowed the game down. I think he'll hurt Kansas because he has to slow the game down for him because he's not a good defender and can't run the floor very well. So then what I've seen out of the first 3 games out of Michigan is we just get up and down the floor and we score and then we play defense. And that's, a big improvement because they had to hedge with him too much. When he hedged and they had to have backside behind him to dump down and stop the ball because he couldn't guard anybody. So when they would drive on us all day, so we had to get people in the paint to drive and they would just kick it out for a 3 and we were screwed. So, and that's what's going to happen in Kansas. I think this college basketball, it's early, losing to these mid-major teams. Michigan State losing, who cares? Losing these early, I don't really give a crap. You're early on, things are going to be, when you get into conference plays, when things get really interesting, because conference teams couch you and get things ready. college basketball will blast when about December and in January. So
Yep. Right,
Big Ten won't win a championship again this year. That's pretty much true.
Probably. You got anything to add in college basketball world?
Not really. Watch out for the Volunteers this year. It's our
Mhm.
year. That's about
Ranked
it.
The
7,
Volunteers.
They're ranked 7 in the country, and we will have a future good matchup where Illinois goes to Tennessee for a game, a home and home series that we'll play the next 2 years. But it's in Tennessee this year.
Potential live stream game.
Will Illinois be
Might
anything?
have- What's that?
Think Illinois will be anything?
I do think Illinois is going to be good. I think they're experienced. That's the one thing they're going to have. They kept Terrence Shannon Jr. and Coleman Hawkins from the draft. You got both of them back, which I didn't think they were going to get either of them back. So experienced. They got a couple freshman point guards that are on the bench. They're starting a sophomore who really isn't a point guard, but he can handle the ball, so they're putting him at the 1. But really, Shannon's going to keep the ball. It's going to be a Shannon, Coleman Hawkins show with a lot of shooters on the outside. So I'm excited. I know Brad Underwood's going to make him a top 25 team in the country. They're going to play hard every night, but are they as good as some of these powerhouse teams in the country? I don't know. I don't know if they can keep up with them, but we'll see.
I think that's about it for college basketball. So
Yep.
we can move on to our closing segments with Josh. Do you have Josh's advice?
Yeah. Josh's advice. We're going to close it out every podcast like this. My advice is going to be in the sports gambling world. Parlays, you need to relax on them. Everybody loves to hit the big parlay. Everybody loves to hit the 8-legger for $5. It pays $400, and there's nothing wrong with doing that every once in a while. But that can't be the only way of sports betting. Sports betting, you need to find locks out there. You need to find. Nothing is wrong with just doing a single leg, just one thing, a money line, a spread, something you're confident in. And you don't always have to make a bet. If you have something where you look at a week and you go, I don't like any of these, maybe you take the week off and just look. You don't have to place anything, but sometimes the parlays need to take a back seat and just roll with the single leggers and get some locks and win you some money. That's my advice for the week.
That is great advice from the degenerate sports gambler.
Yes. Learning from my mistakes.
We'll move over to the Bryce facts for the week. I got 3 facts for everybody this week. First fact that I found is more than 100 children are conceived annually at the Super Bowl parking lot during tailgate parties every year. And
I believe that.
I wish I was one of those babies, because maybe I'd be playing in the Super Bowl right now if I was conceived in the parking lot.
I believe that, man. That's Super Bowl is a national holiday, and I'll tell you what.
The second fact that I have is that I found that baseball umpires are required to wear black underwear. They introduced that rule so that if the umpires rip their pants open or something, they wouldn't be ashamed. So it's in their uniform that they have to wear black underwear.
I never knew that.
I didn't either.
Really? Never. Well,
Yeah.
I never even
heard of that before.
That's awesome.
Jeez.
And I also found that there's 2 horrible days in the year. It's the only 2 days that don't have a sports game on the entire year. The day before the MLB All-Star game and the day after. And
that's why they do the ESPYs.
Yep.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. You're right. You're after hockey, you're after basketball, you're on a break from baseball, and football hasn't started. So yeah.
Yep.
You're not wrong.
Yep.
That is a tough day. I hate days with no sports. COVID was miserable.
Yeah.
Man.
Why? Because you can't bet then?
No.
Exactly.
There's nothing to
Oh, so that's when you go to the that's when you go to the
Yeah.
casino and try to lose some money on the casino.
Exactly. See, now you're thinking right.
At the Queen.
Yep.
Gosh. So
Roy,
now it's my turn with the old man advice.
Yeah.
Yes,
what's
sir.
your old man wisdom for the podcast, Roy?
All right, the generation this year. I'm gonna go with the sports analogy here. The sports that we're playing right now that we were watching, full of a bunch of pussies. Watch the old timers like the old times like Larry Bird and them in basketball, Ken Griffey Jr. in baseball, and things like that. And football wise, when they actually hit the hell out of people with no helmets.
Yeah. They're not finding Josh Jacobs for
leaning forward.
Yeah,
into
they're
it.
definitely. I agree with you. They're definitely taking.
I can tell you that
physical
stupid
portions.
push, whatever it is, would get the shit kicked out of them by in the 80s and 90s because they wouldn't put up with that shit.
Oh yeah.
So
man.
get rid of this pussy ass stuff that you guys are playing now and coaching stuff. So that's my old man advice.
It's great advice. I mean, yeah, definitely need to get a little bit more over being a bitch.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Well,
Take
that's
your
gonna
own
close it
advice
for-
there, you two.
Yeah. That's going to close it out for this podcast, and we'll catch you back next week on Tuesday or on Wednesday. These go out on Wednesdays.
Film on Tuesdays. These come out on Wednesdays.
Go out on Wednesdays. So thank you
All
guys.
right.
See ya.
See ya.